here's my fear. My fear is if you look at the educational system and what it's designed to produce with the students who attend, it is designed to provide employees for organizations. Very few schools teach entrepreneurship, how to be responsible for your own development and growth. It's designed to provide employees to entities.
Hey guys, it's Cowboy and Mark again coming at you for another episode. I think we're at 17 now. And this one's going to be interesting, just as much as all of them, but a little bit different topic today. And you can kind of put it in a personal growth category even, maybe. And I think that this is going to be beneficial for many people. So, Mark, you want to lead us in?
Yeah. Welcome to Rennie Gabriel. And unlike a lot of people that we've talked to, Rennie, I think you're one of the newer people. I've known a lot of between us, people we've known a long time. So it's nice to bring people. We've known each other a bit for a couple of years and we touch base and we keep. And the reason that I wanted you on the call today was because your subject matter, and particularly how you got into your views around financial education and some of your things about the typical millionaire and those kind of things. It's not like you started this 40 years ago. You kind of got to it through business things that you and I think your partner, your wife and things got into, and how you started looking at property. So it's a real hands-on kind of unlearning process. So here's our kind of opening, just to give it to you for as long as you want it. We don't do those big introductions, but what we do is you can go with the BizUnLearned rant and just give us your best. What's the unlearning things that you see in your work that you think people have got to learn to thrive today? Because clearly your theme is financial education and information. So rant away. The floor is yours.
Just don't say doo-doo again.
Again, I didn't say it the first time.
Well, he said it.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
You said do.
Okay. Too subtle. Take it away, Rennie.
Gosh, you two are characters. So I guess the best thing to say is that I got an education as a chartered life underwriter, which is like CPA for accountants, and certified financial planner. And I add, and you'll see on my book, you'll see on my business card, I've also added the designation BFD. Any idea what that, Cowboy, do you know what that stands for? Mark, any idea?
BFD.
I tried big fucking dick. You said no.
Big financial something or other?
It's big frickin' deal.
Okay. Close enough.
Yeah, you're close. And the reason I do that is because those designations don't mean diddly about how to handle money well. I mean, it's about helping rich people be richer or save on taxes and look at different investment options and all that. But the basic foundations are not taught in high school. They're not taught in college. They're not taught in financial planning courses like I took. I mean, literally, I've helped CPAs through bankruptcy because they can do great tax returns. Doesn't mean they know how to handle money well. What I had to unlearn were those principles and find out what the foundation, what the basics were. And that helped turn me around from struggling most of my life, being broke by the time I'm age 50 because of 2 divorces and a business failure, so that I could finally apply the stuff that wealthy people apply. And then I went from broke at age 50 to not having to work 8 years later.
Wow. So once you hit that formula, that was 8 years.
Yeah. It was really, what is it wealthy people do? What do I need to apply? And the sad part is it's stuff that I did learn, like this will be a quiz for either of you. Have either of you or both of you heard of the expression, pay yourself first?
Yes.
Okay. Any idea how long that's been around on the planet?
How long? No.
Okay.
Probably longer than we think based on the people I know that talk about it, but nobody does it.
It's been around for 5,000 years.
Wow.
It was actually discovered in some clay tablets when the city of Babylon was excavated around the 1900s. And a book came out about 100 years ago.
I was like, must have been written by a prostitute.
So,
Well, prostitutes did own half of London over the years on some of these principles because they were clever. They just because of their trade didn't mean they were stupid, and they lived in a very difficult world to ply that trade.
yeah.
So, Rennie, what is the biggest in that? Because I often send because it's from the Millionaire Next Door type research that you quote. The average millionaire, 57, doesn't drive Ferraris, doesn't wear Rolex watches, all of that stuff. What is for people listening to this, and a lot of them are business people and also Bill's end of things, project managers, senior guys in that sense. But we've got a world that's getting more and more expensive, certainly in the developed world, and people are making more money, but they're not saving more money. They certainly don't feel more well off or wealthy. So what's the first thing people have got to unlearn to start getting this clear, to get you on that 8-year pathway that once, because you're like a lot of us, you go through the school of hard knocks, you get things that happen in life, you arrive at 50, but 58, things have moved on very, very quickly. So what's the headliners that say, if you're going to get serious about building proper asset wealth, what are they going to stop doing or unlearn?
Yeah, it's two things. One of them I talked about, which is treat yourself like you matter. That's my way of saying pay yourself first. It doesn't matter if you start with 1, 5, 10%, whatever, but you treat yourself like you matter. Like some of the money you're working for, you deserve to own. So that is number one. Number two is the mistake that I made was I thought all I had to do was make more money and I'd be set financially. And when I started work, I was a school teacher and I was earning $6,800 per year. Not a lot of money. And I was short only about $100 a month. So I doubled my income by going into sales. And now I'm short $200 a month. All I need to do is cover that. So my income kept going up and up and up. Then when I passed $100,000 a year, now I'm short $2,000 a month. I finally realized, and this is through a 12-step program for people who don't know how to handle money, you deal with the expenses first and the income second. That's my second rule. You don't focus on growing your income to cover shortfalls. You focus on getting rid of the expenses that are causing it, and then you grow the income. And that turned my income around from being short by $2,000 a month to having an extra $50,000 that year.
Because you're describing, Rennie, the old line, aren't you, about expenses grow in line with income because you start to just spend more and more. And until you check that, you never build real wealth.
Absolutely correct. So those are the two keys that showed up for me. Pay myself like I deserve to own some of the money and focus on the expenses first and grow the income second.
Now you're in America, right?
Yeah, it's yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
it's a
have
very
you
bizarre time
thought
here
about
now.
this
Yes.
from an international standpoint? For example, I had a lake house in Austin, Texas. I'm paying $250 a month in damn school taxes, and I never even had any kids. Why the hell am I paying $250 a month in school taxes? What the
Because
fuck?
you own property in Texas. That's why.
Right.
But you're paying for
now
someone
I'm
else's.
down here and all my money is tax free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so one of the things you could do is you sell the property in Texas, buy something else down. Where did you say? Argentina? Where are you?
I'm in Ecuador. Yeah.
Ecuador. So yeah. Cross-border investments make a lot of sense. But Texas is a nice place to own, even though you're paying for someone else's kids to get educated. I'm in California, where we are told what to do. We're not allowed to have property rights practically. It's absolutely crazy here. And if I were to buy real estate for rentals, I would be buying in Texas and getting it out of California. But, hey, I live within 11 miles of my properties in Los Angeles. So it's convenient. I got them long enough ago that they're profitable, even though it's crazy here. The bottom line is in California, landlords or housing providers, whatever you want to call us, are criminalized. We're told to house people for free sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember hearing about that. Let me ask you. So speaking with Mark, many of your theories ring of Rich Dad Poor Dad and The Millionaire Next Door, which also had Texas influence in it. What were your thoughts about like Five Flag Theory and being international?
Tell me more about Five Flags theory.
Okay, Five Flag Theory. So like I'm a U.S. citizen, but I'm a permanent resident in Ecuador, and I've got my company offshore, and I'm also a resident of Ecuador. Ukraine. And I can easily pick up a passport in Colombia. And so it's a five flag theory thing. The basis of freedom. Your company's in one spot. You live in another spot. You have passports over here. That type of thing. That's the nature of five flag theory. So, for example, if I was to buy here, I would have to pay taxes here because now I have property here. But right now, I'm just Cowboy here. I'm renting, and they don't even know me any more than Cowboy. I don't even have a lease for the apartment, and I've been here for years. And because I don't work for an Ecuadorian company, I work online, then I don't pay Ecuadorian taxes. I don't pay U.S. taxes.
Got it. And for some people, that works great. I had a friend of mine move to, I think it was the Philippines. I think that's where he moved because of how the business income is taxed at only 5% there, where he was paying 35% here in the US. And so for some people moving across the world, not a problem. They enjoy it. I mean, I don't travel hardly anywhere. As a matter of fact, I'm looking to be a speaker to corporations, conferences, different events, and I'm not willing to leave Los Angeles.
Okay.
But there are golfers who I've talked to who
I wouldn't be
love
willing
traveling
to
the
go
world.
in the streets of Los Angeles right now.
Yeah. But golfer lives out of a suitcase, travels all over the place to play golf and make money. I couldn't do that. I'm not willing to live out of a suitcase. I want to sleep in my own bed every night, and I don't want to take a plane anywhere.
Gotcha.
But that's a good point, though, Rennie, because if you take Bill's, he brings up Five Flags. I was introduced to Five Flags years ago through, it was kind of a body of research called PT, which stood for Perpetual Traveler. And it was a whole series of very expensive, beautifully crafted books on this kind of an international lifestyle. But as you say, it doesn't suit many people. And it is based on live in one country, work in another, keep your money in another, because it's very, governments are getting too many snouts in the trough, that kind of thing. So people are aware of it. In your body of work under the kind of financial education base, are you hearing more people? Certainly Bill quotes stats of the numbers of people leaving the States, and the same with the UK since the government changed. So people are having to look at these different things, because I guess in our language, they're having to unlearn what they were conditioned to do, which is sit in your one country, get mugged off for the taxes or those kind of things. What do you see in your work? What's the average person that you're meeting inside corporations? Where are they at financially on some of those issues?
Well, there's two things going on. They're the people who want to stay in the U.S. and they want to protect their assets. So they'll do some things offshore. They make sure they have an attorney deal with entities that they set up to protect their assets, to protect their income. So the people who want to stay here will do things like that. And then my wife has friends who are selling their home here because they moved to Canada. There's no one size fits all. There's no, if you own a corporation or you do this or you do that this is the path to take. Everyone has to choose for themselves. That's what I've done. I'm choosing to stay here and fight battles to keep my property rights as opposed to moving to Australia. Because my wife and I thought, why don't we have two homes? We'll have one in California. We'll stay here during the summer and the nice months. And in the winter, we'll go to Australia where it's summer there. But then again, it's a 12-hour plane flight twice a year. So it was a nice idea. And then I'm not willing to do the plane flight.
Yeah,
so again,
definitely.
No one size fits all.
So Rennie, the last time you and I spoke when we caught up, and I'm sitting here looking at a book on my shelf called The Wealthy Barber, which is one of the ones that, again, it's a nice one because he's a barber. And he fits with your 57-year-old millionaire. They're understated is that message. And with your Babylon comment earlier, you were touching on richest man in Babylon whole, because what they're basically highlighting is formulas with money, isn't it? And that piece that you've touched on about reduce overhead, blah, 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 all of those kind of things. So again, you get paid to go into big companies and teach senior level people about handling money.
It's not limited to the seniors. It's the entire organization.
Which is cool. I'm when I say the senior bit, I'm kind of implying they should know better. But your point is totally valid, isn't it? That it applies to everybody. But again, what's going on in terms of their view of the world, in terms of, because they're unlikely to move to Ecuador, as Bill said. They're unlikely, some small percent will be looking at things like Five Flags, and people do research all the time. But for the mainline people, then what are the things that you're leading them to have them do to, I guess we used to call it, master the art of financial self-defense?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you brought up The Wealthy Barber, because that book is nothing more than a different cut or an updated version of The Richest Man in Babylon. When I read that, I said, I'm just reading The Richest Man in Babylon with a different plot line. That's all. Yeah. So again, that concept's been around for 5,000 years. How do I phrase it? When I'm on a podcast, I'll often ask the host a question of, have you heard the expression? They'll say yes. And then I'll say, can you explain it? And this is where the host stumbles trying to explain this very simple, basic concept. And what I found, my next question is, are you doing it? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. So it's not about what you know, it's about what you're applying. It's what are the actions you're taking. And I don't care if it's a rank and file employee, someone working on an assembly line, or a senior executive or the manager, what are they applying when it comes to handling money powerfully?
Well, Rennie, Bill, let me just lead you in on this, because I might know where you're going on this. I should warn you on this subject, Rennie. Where he and I come in the door is sort of lines from a certain Mr. Elon out there before he got a bit massively political, but he's clearly an interesting business dude. And his line was, my mind is on fire with ideas, implementation, execution is the key. And Bill will quote from Project Management Almanac of the Year, all the updates that'll say the States is costing $8 trillion to run, but it's only raising $5 trillion. So the great entrepreneurial super hub is kind of losing money big style, which is an interesting headline. Then Bill will drop down into, and $2 trillion of that is declared by high-level CEOs through failed projects. So now you're into his territory, which is our ability to implement today across the developed world is at the lowest that it's ever been. And if I say the word agile anytime in the next 2 minutes, he's going to explode, because this is his subject.
Yeah, I mean, this was huge. Failure rate right now is 70%, and and I've talked to many investors, and some of it, we were, for different projects when I started doing my own projects, and they were kind of like opposed to you getting paid first before it was a revenue generating business. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, how do you think we come up with these projects? We got to eat too. This is bullshit. But many of them were actually opposed that the people actually doing the work got paid first. And it's like, this is bullshit. And I'm like, we have to eat, we have to pay our bills, or you have no project, you have no investment, you will get nothing in return. This was a big thing. But to see that investors themselves didn't even understand that was alarming.
Yeah. Well, it comes, I guess you could say that there are 2 approaches to business, and one is scarcity thinking and the other is prosperity thinking. It's just that simple. And the person who has scarcity thinking, whether they're an investor, a CEO, an executive, it doesn't make any difference. if they're coming from that insecurity, well, that's what's going to show up is that fear that, if someone else gets paid for what they're doing, there won't be enough. It's a zero-sum game or all sorts of silly ideas like that, which is not
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit to my own insecurities. After having been broke, when I talk about having been broke, at one time I collected soda bottles and cans to get the refund money to buy groceries. So I know what it's like to have no money. So I still have insecurities. I mean, when the pandemic hit, if none of our tenants paid rent, if all of them lost their jobs and no one paid rent, I still had enough in reserves for my wife and I to cover our expenses for the next 2 years. That's ridiculous, but it's because I'm insecure. I need to see large reserves to feel okay.
Well, we call those Babylon walls based on the old principle of the book. So we teach, when I was taught by project managers, operational income, as in covering the overhead of the business. That's job number one, wherever it comes from, because it's the operational income, the operations, that pay for the projects, which are by nature risky, speculative, all the things that they do. But again, these are formulas that I've pulled together through people like Bill, people like yourself, and then I got my financial education from bigger guys. But we're still in a situation, Rennie, where you're going into companies teaching this stuff, which is kind of financial education 101. And I told Bill after we spoke a few weeks ago, California or Californian companies, and I think you pick up my words if these aren't quite right, going into corporations and teaching employees about financial education, because it reduces stress, which therefore means they're more productive. So I go to our Texan on the call here and you go, yeah, that don't sound like Texana view of the world to me. That sounds like different worldviews going on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the employees who learn how to handle money powerfully reduces their stress. They don't have debt collectors calling them at work. They feel valuable when the company treats them like they're good human beings. Maybe I should circle back to the pandemic. I talked about if none of our tenants paid rent, we could still go for 2 years on our reserves. But the reality is what happened is because of the relationship I have with our tenants, 100% of them paid 100% of their rent through the entire pandemic. We didn't lose one dime of rent. And that's because of the relationship we have with our tenants. The same way when I had our pension administration company, it was a relationship I had with our employees. They felt valued, and therefore everybody wins.
Well, you guys have touched on several things here. For example, during the pandemic, the country here said, listen, if your people can't pay, you can't evict them. All right. And then they also told the banks, give the landlord a fucking break because he ain't getting the damn rent. All right. On top of that, the kids were going to school via internet. So they said, you can't cut off the internet. And on top of that, I want you to double the speed. Well, I kind of took a little bit different approach on it. I worked online. I was still getting paid every month. So I'm like, so while everyone else is not getting paid, I'm over there stroking the damn cash for the apartment and the internet and everything else. And I'm like, and when this thing turns back around, you guys don't fuck with me and you never raise the price. And they're like, okay, no problem, because I'm always here for you. And so I locked everything in. I took that as an opportunity to lock everything in. And because I was the one that was always paying. And they could count on me. And I'm like, since you can count on me, I don't need you gouging me for another $20 a month down the road or some shit. And they're like, you got it. But also on top of that, I remember companies in Texas, business owners would love to see new employees come in and buy new houses because then they had debt and they were like, they're locked in. They had debt and they knew they had you by the balls. They were locked in, right? But when I went to work as CIO of this particular company, I had sold off my company. And there was this HR intern that was over there giving the president a real hard time going, everybody here is working from check to check. And the president was like, are you kidding me? It's like I've owed Cowboy like $10,000 for 6 months and he hasn't even given me an invoice yet. And I'm like, good point. I need to write that up tonight.
That wasn't his wider point, though, Bill. I mean, yeah.
But that was the whole rich dad, poor dad, four quadrants. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, that was it. And yet that this is what people thought.
It says, go out and buy an expensive car, do this, do that, put yourself in debt. So you have to work hard to make money.
Yeah. It was just completely anti Walgreens and everything else, driving the same damn truck for 20 years, right?
Or Warren Buffett still
Warren
living in the
Buffett's
same
famous
house
for
for
it,
the
yeah.
last
with
40
Warren
years.
Buffett too. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. But so I'm wondering what caused you to get your restart? These books? Are we talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Millionaire Next Door and that type of thing? Is that what caused you to get restarted?
Well, I was going to say that's the education. I'm seeing what other people are doing. I mean, yeah, all the books you've mentioned are the books that I have read. And it wasn't until age 50, after my second divorce, that I felt I was really going to have to apply this stuff, because I looked at 15 years down the road, I'm 65. What's going to happen? Am I going to be eating tuna or cat food? And so it was sort of like, I can't mess around anymore. I've got to start doing what it is I know. I've got to apply what it is I've learned. And that's where the change occurred.
So so my big shock factor here is you're now going into these companies teaching them something that they could have read about. And I don't know, but Goodwill Hunting comes to mind, where he's talking about a Harvard education and he's going, you could have fucking learned it in the damn library with $6 in overcharge fees. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But it's funny. But a lot of people won't pick up a book, or they'll pick up the book and it doesn't really matter to them until they know a human being has applied these things. So I'm not teaching anything new. Like I said, concept of paying yourself first, 5,000 years old. People know it, but are they applying it? And
Absolutely.
so that's where
So let's
the
have a
rubber
go at
meets the
that
road.
one. If ever there's an unlearned point, then, Rennie, and I don't think any of us have got the answer, but we might as well take a shot at it. This whole point about the applying bit, because it goes with Bill's stuff on project management, execution is the key, yada, yada. It goes to all these pieces. So we kind of know the answer, but the people that we're all talking about, nobody really, barring tiny percentages at the end of the curves, are applying the massive stuff that's out there. So how do we get them into unlearning that?
It's funny, but how you do it, I'm not sure, because I heard the funniest thing from the CEO of a hospital organization. He had brought in a management consultant who did surveys and interviewed people and this, that, and the other, came back with his report on what the hospital needed to do to move forward. And the CEO said to him after reading the report, it appears from what I'm reading here, you have a bias toward action.
That's good.
I never heard anything like that before. And I'm
Well,
thinking,
I've heard it a lot recently.
yeah. But so how do you unlearn someone who's advocating action has a bias toward it?
And this was the CEO. You're not talking HR or something.
No, I'm talking about the CEO of the hospital.
You have a bias to action.
Yeah,
Well,
toward action. Yeah, you got it. That's like you're asking me to take action here. So how do you unlearn that? I have no clue.
Well, does that mean commercially you go back a year later and they've been fired?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I could call him, and there was a friend of mine, see if he went back a year later to see how they were doing. But I don't know what the point would be. They'd still be in the horrible situation they were in before they brought him in.
Yeah. I've been, lack of a better word, criticized for this all my life, and often told sometimes you shoot the wrong guy, and I'm like, I understand. I shoot the wrong guy, and it's like, but we told you to go get something done, and you got it done, and it's like, okay, And so it's often been my focus to strike first and worry about the results later.
Yeah, it's shoot, aim,
Ready,
something.
fire, aim. Cut and then call whatever you hit the target.
Of course, you want to aim before you shoot, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Often, but we also ended up with the shoot from the hip type of statements for a reason in this world.
Yeah. I mean, you're asking, how do you get someone to take action? How do you get someone to unlearn something? Until there is practical catastrophe, I don't think there's a willingness to do that. Like I said,
Pain
age
is a
50.
greater motivator than pleasure will ever be.
Yeah, exactly. That's the primary motivator. And so unfortunately, that's when you need to deal with people. I mean, I remember from sales, the expression that if you offer someone aspirin, if they don't have a fever, they're not interested until when they got a fever. Now they're willing to take aspirin. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the pain
And if you're
first.
selling bottled water at the end of the marathon, you're going to do great.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same concepts.
So Rennie, let's hit the money shot, as they say, because a lot of this is every single guest we have on, and particularly under our theme of unlearned, we can't help really. It all touches on whatever people call education, and whether they're meaning school education. And we're not here to beat up on that, because they have their stories too. But away from the politics of it, away from all of that, you just end up with, if we're using something as simple as financial education, because finance is there all of your life in one form or another, isn't it? And it's the stressor and all the stuff we know. So let's just get your unlearning point about what do we do about it's not being taught in the schools in either of our countries. And it would appear it's a latent and ongoing problem.
Here's my fear. My fear is if you look at the educational system and what it's designed to produce with the students who attend, it is designed to provide employees for organizations. Very few schools teach entrepreneurship, how to be responsible for your own development and growth. It's designed to provide employees to entities. Well, if people are educated, whether it's by themselves or the school district, not to become employees, then where do the companies get their employees? And if the employees know how to handle money and can choose to work or choose not to work, well, that's certainly not going to help an entity. It's not going to help a corporation, because the employees could say, I choose not to work. I know how to handle money effectively. I'm leaving. So you need a different reward system to keep employees, to have them be loyal to you. And my answer to that is treat them well, provide them things so that they look at you as, you know what, you're good to me, I'll be good to you. You create loyalty because each person is benefiting the other, not have them buy a house so they're stuck working for us, or get them in debt so they have to make sales.
Right. Like an obligation.
Exactly.
Well, this is the whole theory of theory X, theory Y. Theory X, I'm a McDonald's worker, crack the fucking whip and keep flipping those damn burgers. That type of thing. Whereas theory Y is a person who really wants to do work. I think every one of us has a fucking book here, at least one. Now, no one made us write the damn book, so we're very theory Y people. We had to make ourselves write the book. That's very theory Y. We want to do the work. We want to stay involved, that type of thing. And yet, there's still people that are theory X. I know of two personally that I've known for a long time, one since 6th grade and one for over 20 years. One was a salesperson, and I'm like, listen, buddy, what are you doing? And I'm like, you're in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is expensive as hell. You're looking for a $60,000 base plus commissions and driving all over the damn city when you can just find products that you want to sell and work from home and not have to worry about it. He's like, I'll probably just drink beer and play my guitar. And I'm like, well, get your shit together, okay? And the other one was a finance guy, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, you can work from anywhere in the world doing your bean counting and making American money in motherfucking Mexico, and you're fucked off in Texas. I mean, why? And he goes, well, if I stay home, I'll just drink beer and watch movies. And as soon as COVID happened, they were the two people that called me going, you got to show me how to use these remote tools, man. I don't know how to do this. And they're making me work from home. And their lives changed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I guess I'm glad I don't like the taste of beer or wine or anything. And TV bores me. You know, I'd rather be a creator of content than a consumer of content.
Sure.
So
But it took you consuming content first in order to be a creator of it.
That's correct.
So we're
Exactly
at
correct.
that time, gentlemen, where the Englishman puts his hat on, because Englishmen
See,
can't
we all
wear
got hats
cowboy
now, right?
hats. And then, you two have both got it all fancy stuff, haven't we? So people who've watched us before know that's all.
Like Bill.
We're in the wrap-up period of because you said something earlier, Renee, about we camp it up by saying the R word, and that's relationships with your tenants during COVID. And it goes to the point about it's more US research because of the way medical is paid in the US. The doctor that's got the best relationship with the patients is the one who gets sued the less. And it kind of goes again to another one of these places of everybody talks about I'm into relationship marketing, but then we all get connected on LinkedIn and go, hey, do you want to connect? And then people like me say, well, that's great. What happens next? And they go, I don't know. They go, well, have you not got a system for this? Because it's not part of a business if you haven't got a process or a system. So again, they kind of think they're in, and maybe they're genuine people. Let's assume that to be nice. Let's assume they're genuine. But the reality of it is, again, they don't even know there's a problem. So they can't follow through on it until they hit people like us that give them the new perspectives and, as Bill says, maybe moves them a bit towards theory Y. But this relationship piece and around what you're teaching, what's your kind of on the outgo? What have they got to unlearn out there if they're going to thrive, Renee?
It deals with who are you creating relationships with? As an example, like I said, at age 50, I'm starting over. I got my third marriage. My wife is the best one ever. We're together now.
That's good.
27
there you
years.
go. That's a tick.
Third time's a charm, man.
Yeah. So there's one relationship. And the second one, yeah. And then we had a realtor that we were buying the properties with. So the three of us had a relationship with each other. So, and like I said, I carry it through to the relationship with the tenants. Those are the people who are literally buying the property for us through the rent that they're paying. And so the relationships are, who is it are your partners? Who is it who's supporting you? Your accountant, if you have a financial advisor, what about your attorney? I mean, I'm lucky. My sister-in-law is a landlord-tenant attorney. Whenever I have questions, I call her and the meter isn't running. I mean, so these are relationships. So there's the relationships to the people under you, the people, the relationships next to you, and there are people, relationships above you, the people that I learned from, the person who had 1,000 units when I only had 50 units. So the relationship goes in three ways: vertical, horizontal, and down.
Matrix.
Well, vertical is up and down, whatever.
But what you're talking about, this is very much a project management organizational structure that we use often. It's a matrix relationship. You got your verticals and people that work across the verticals, but you're making reference to a matrix relationship, and which was structured predominantly after the Navy SEALs and after Vietnam in '69. That's when it started hitting the business environment, because after World War II, everything was verticals.
Yeah. Bill, one of the people that I was in a relationship with was a Green Beret. And one of the things he talked about is a unit of 10 Green Berets could defeat 100 people. Why? Because each Green Beret had a specialty that they enjoyed, that they were fabulous at, and no one was trying to shore up their weaknesses. They each one enhanced their strengths. And on that basis, those 10 could defeat 100.
Absolutely. So actually, the number's a bit higher than that. It's 50-1. But
yeah, I'm trying to be conservative.
Yeah, not me.
There you go, Cowboy. That's our ending point, really, isn't it? Because we can be as big a rugged individuals as we like, but with our cowboy on the call, even cowboys need other cowboys to move 2,000 cattle between Kansas and Oklahoma or whatever it is. So it still does come back down to this human stuff because the information's out there. So take us out, Bill.
All right. Well, this is huge. I mean, we've seen transitions, obviously. Like when I quoted the number in 2014, less than 0.5% of Americans had ever lived in another country before, and now it's 3.5%. Because people are looking for that financial freedom. They're looking for another way to do things. And so this is absolutely huge. So if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Simple. They can go to wealthonanyincome.com
Okay.
and connect with me there. I'm on LinkedIn, Rennie Gabriel. It's easy.
Good. Well, here
Good
we
time,
are,
Rennie.
guys. We're going to wrap up 17. Remember to like, comment, and share. Cowboy and Mark. Let's get it done this week.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Renee.